So last week I did a video on what I take hiking for a day hike in Texas. So today I actually did a day hike in upstate New York. I was here for the weekend and had a chance to get out and do a little hiking here. So I thought I'd show you really quick what I took today on this particular day hike, understanding that day hikes in upstate New York can vary greatly by the time of year and the type of trail or where you're exactly going. So today I did Scarface Mountain, just over 3,000 feet, and it was sunny, partly cloudy for most of it. And just to tell you kind of the comparison for temperatures, the high today was about 45 degrees, the low was about 28, and it was just over 30 degrees when I started hiking. And it did not warm up a whole lot, and I know at the summit it was probably still around 32 degrees because my hands were freezing. Let's see what I had in my pack. All right, so I did not bring my Arc'teryx pack from Texas. I left it there. I did bring my Osprey, but realized very quickly that that was not going to be big enough for this particular hike because I needed to have a lot of extra clothes because I came from Texas and anything below about 50 degrees right now is freezing. So I ended up falling back on this old trusty Camelback that I have. I bought this in 2001 when I was doing some hiking in Yosemite, and the bladder inside of here is long gone. This was one of the original Camelbacks that they made. So like I said, the bladder is long gone, but the actual pack has stood the test of time. It's a little bigger than what I usually need, so I don't use it for most of my hikes, but today it was actually perfect. So inside of this, I had my REI Puffy. I did not wear this. I didn't think I was gonna need to wear this, but it was there just in case I got chilled or conditions worsened, like the temperature dropped. Sometimes that happens. I had that just in case. I also had my wool beanie packed away in my pack, just in case. Didn't wear it. I had a second buff. Had that in there just in case. And I had my possum gloves and my rain mitts. So there again, just in case. These were items that I did not use, but I had them in there just in case I needed them. And then I also had a package of hand warmers just in case. This was an emergency item. I actually almost used these because when I stopped at the summit for a break, took my gloves off and my hands got so cold I wasn't sure I was going to be able to warm them up. So, but I didn't end up needing these, so they stayed in the package. Use them next time. And then I always take a bathroom kit just in case, you never know. And so I had an extra trowel here in New York and just some wipes in little tablet form. Got that tucked away in there. And then come to my snacks. So I had a Green Belly bar. Did not eat this, did not need this, but I take these because they don't weigh a whole lot, but they're like 665 calories. I think a couple of the flavors are even more than that. So if I need to get some calories really quick to help stay warm, because you do burn a lot of calories when it's cold, I took some of these peak refilled brownie bites. I did actually eat about a fourth of the package of these. Super yummy, high energy, don't weigh a lot. Had some Bolt gummies. Didn't use these either, but these are really good for quick energy. And then I had a protein bar. I didn't eat that either. So I guess I should explain why I didn't eat any of my snacks. It's because I stopped at Stewart's on the way out there and got a muffin, and on the way back I got pizza and ice cream. So I had enough calories that way. But I did have this stuff in case I needed something on trail. So there's that. And then I think I want to show you or talk a little bit about what I was wearing. I had my Ultra Lone Peaks, which are downstairs because they're muddy. I had my liner socks and gingies, and then over that I put my Darn Tough, my thicker socks because I needed that today because of the temperatures. And then I have my wool buff, used that on my head. I have my hat. It's a Mountain Hardwear hat. I bought this in 1996. So this thing is old, but it's great. It's Gore-Tex, it's windproof, it's waterproof. Love it. I hope it never dies. And then I had my lighter weight gloves. These are perfect because they're just simple, just enough to keep my fingers from freezing, but they're not too much. And so I wore these pretty much the whole time today. And then I have my sunglasses. I didn't wear those very much either because we were in the shade most of the time. So, but I had them just in case. And then I wore what you see here. I have my Arc'teryx fleece on top, and then underneath I have a sun hoodie. Perfect combination. It was a little cold at first when we first started out today. Got a little chilled, but as we started working and climbing up the mountain, it got warm. I actually ended up taking this off for a period of time, and then when I got to the summit, put it back on, and I kept it on the rest of the time. It was perfect. And then for my pants, if you can see them, I don't know what brand they are, but they're water resistant. And they're fleece lined. So they're not real good for super cold weather, but for today it was perfect because they're nice and soft and warm inside. And then they're the water resistant, so if they get a little bit damp, there's a little mist in the air, keeps that off. They're not waterproof. I did find that out the hard way last year, but for today they were perfect. I think the other things that I didn't show you, I did have an Nalgene bottle of 32 ounce of water in that pack. It's currently on the kitchen counter. because I drank most of it. I did not take my trekking poles today because I have a set here and a set in Texas. Can't fly with them as carry-on, so I have one in each place. I did not use them today because I hiked with the dog, and I don't use them when I hike with the dog because I have to focus on trying to make sure the dog can get up the mountain. Getting a glimpse into what I take in my day pack for a hike like this. Understand that different trails and different circumstances in the Adirondacks require a different set of things. So if I did a low peak today, if I had done a high peak, I would have needed probably another layer of clothes, and I would have needed my boots, and I would have needed my micro spikes because there's already snow at 4,000 feet and plenty of ice. So it would have been a little bit different. So as you can see, like, I have to change it based on some of the conditions. But for today, what I had was perfect. And actually, it's interesting because a lot of my stuff is still in Texas. I was kind of piecing together some of this stuff that was still here in New York, but it ended up working. I had the main things. Maybe the only thing I would have added for emergency stuff was maybe a little bit of first aid. I didn't have that. I had that in the van. I didn't have it on my pack, and I probably should have thrown a headlamp in there. Other than that, it was good. So hopefully this is helpful for somebody.